Alright, good evening everybody. System Chalk here with the 48th episode of our YouTube first run through Book of Hours. We are going to make some Solomon's preparation as soon as I get the relevant memory. We're reading the cursed text about the sad end of Nona. And I think that's still going to leave me a whole lot of elements of the soul that I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with yet, although I don't think it would hurt for me to continue to harvest some goods. And then I don't think it would hurt for me to go to the moor and Crowcross Sands. The other thing is that I haven't been... So I've done a little bit more crafting, but I haven't really focused on it. And if nothing else, just so that I can have these things kind of registered in terms of the catalog, I don't think it would hurt for me to spend a little bit of time just trying various combinations. Some of them I do remember from playing the game a little bit earlier. Like I said, I've got a big spreadsheet of everything. Also, I don't think it would hurt for me to have a chat with my wild viper and maybe give him a little something to eat. But yeah, I don't know. There's lots to do, let's say. But it's, as always, it's a question of where do I want to put my focus? Where do I want to put my energy? And can I take certain actions that will sort of push me ahead in terms of being able to take on more ambitious books? One of the things that would make a lot of sense for me to try right now would be to craft more inks, because inks do give me a slight advantage in terms of reading certain books. And obviously what I'm thinking of in particular would be something like not Houndsgall. Well, Houndsgall actually has a lot of scale, but I'm thinking of something like Perniculate, which I seem to recall requires a leaf in its construction. But even that, gives me a fairly high amount of scale. So if I can find something somewhat renewable that can go into crafting Perniculate, then that means I can, I can take on some more ambitious books, even without having the necessary skills. Okay, and looks like, so Cat's Claw counts as a leaf. What else? If Cat's Claw counts as a leaf, then that gives me a very strong reason to... Oh, the game's going to get a little testy with me in terms of what I can put down. There we go. Okay, so Cat's Claw counts as a leaf. What about Agave Eterna? Does Ava's Locks... Okay, Ava's Locks also counts as a leaf. All right, so that gives me even more reasons to go to things like Crowcross Sands and the moor now. Okay. I think it makes sense for us to sit on our Elements of the Soul until we finish reading the book. But I also think I am going to bring in Reverend Timothy for today, because if we can open up another... Well, hang on. I spent all that time working, but I didn't see... Yep, so that's a winter as well. So as nice as it would be to hire Reverend Timothy, I don't want to hire him for something that I don't need him for. But it does turn out that we can use him to unlock the blockaded stairs. And I'll maybe just double check that, because we do have a heart one here. So with Mrs. Kill, I could use the core, which brings that up to 3. We could bring in a storm, which will bring that up to 5. We've got the kitchen bowls, which would bring that up to 6. Ah, okay, so this is where it gets interesting, right? So if we had Mrs. Kill in a storm, although in reality, probably with the storm, I would try and read that sky text. But let's say we had a storm to work with. So Mrs. Kill with the storm would be 5 at the start. Then we use core to bring that up to 7. Then we bring in the bowls, which would bring that up to 8. And at that point, we feed her a witching to sane. And the thing about the blockaded stairs is that on their own, they don't really get me anything. They're a little bit more about moving through the house, I think. So even then, I'm not entirely sure this is the sort of thing that I want to use Reverend Timothy for, just because in the end it does involve spending a bit of, well, okay, what is the tragedy about spending a little bit of money with Reverend Timothy right now, right? Like what exactly am I losing by doing that? Yeah, I'm being cheap. Let's Oh, right, yeah, because I don't have my Faust back yet. That's fine. We'll still make this work. So, Reverend Timothy enjoys thoughtful conversation, prayer, and tea. He'll offer his assistance in return for a 1 shilling donation to church funds. We do appreciate the contribution. So I will use the medal to earn a little bit of money while I do that. I've carried the memory like a flambeau, safe through the mazes of the night. This will complete once dawn has come. Okay, so let's at least get the basics done. We'll talk with him for some memories when the time is right. He also takes candles, I believe, yeah, although we won't worry about the candles in this case. But we'll use the mirror scope, so I can lend my assistants something to help increasing their abilities. This is my, no, it's summer, so I'm not quite ready for that. Now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. Scar in the Sky is a high-level Fusine. So when I can, I will restore that at the Sweet Bones. Tools boosted their aspects appropriately, so next up we will talk about the weather, more useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. Alright, the Annals of St. Brendan's, over 100 years of the Abbey's annals from 1230 to 1350. 3 events of particular interest are recorded: an endowment by Ava de Braus, widow of the Marcher Lord Gwilym Du, Black William, which enables an expansion of the abbey, the construction of the Winter Tower, which is dedicated to the Madrigad, and the death by poisoning and arts unsanctioned of Abbess Nona. After Abbess Nona's death, the double foundation is dissolved and the monastery is reformed to accept only male novices. At this point, the ink changes. The helpful scribe explains that for the new foundation, the abbot has mandated Stargall, not Ugall ink. He outlines the differences: use of inks of containment techniques with a sky, not nectar context, but doesn't trouble to explain why. So this is helpful, because I was talking a little bit earlier about how I may want to take a look into creating various inks. We do have inks of containment already. So if I find a way of bringing sufficient nectar or sky, that is now 2 inks that I can use towards my my various texts. And there's the regret to Winter to help us create Solomon's preparation. This is again why I like taking the time to reread certain texts, because some things have a little more resonance when when you're trying to solve a particular problem. Craft Solomon's preparation. Muddle and mix a wintry preparation. Okay. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Should probably pour the dandelion wine at this point. Just double check I don't have any more. Yeah, so we'll go to the kitchen for that. Pour out. It's actually a side of me that thinks that maybe I should just be putting the wine in the cellar like this. It's a minor thing, but... Okay, pour it out. Let's take advantage of the weather while it lasts. So let me just double check where we're at here. So he's going to be at 7. Yep, we'll get the 9 that we need after we get the Foss back, so everything's good there. I'll have my pitcher of water in a little bit. Again, we're waiting on reading the book about Abbess Nona before I commit the remaining elements of the soul, although I'll want to do that reasonably soon. Little water splashes onto the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. I think I'll actually draw up a second when the time comes. So that's kind of to replace what I already used. And I don't think it's a bad idea to have more than one. Okay. What I might want to try, this is the second time with orchids and narcotics. I may want to try some of the other... I might want to try some of the other skills to see if I get a different result. Again, like I'm sure it's probably it's probably going to be like a die roll rather than anything more complicated. But I don't think it's a bad idea for me to experiment a little bit, because as nice as it is to have beeswax, and I do actually really like this description. The thing is, it's just not that helpful to me right now. I'm really trying to replace the honey. Because I can see another situation where I want to use a name day riddle, and I definitely don't want to wind up in a situation where I've given up all of my liquid food just to create a higher level input. Okay, down to the Grussians. So we'll start having a chat with Reverend Timothy while we wait for the Fost. Reverend Timothy is always happy to chat. Okay. And we can read some stories now. So, the most sorrowful... You're kidding me. Oh, what was I thinking? It even warned me that I... Yeah, that is completely on me for not paying closer attention. Excuse me. I literally could have used any other element of the soul and not had that problem. But that's what I get for being in a rush. All right. The most sorrowful end of the Lady Nona. An unauthorized account of the death of Abbess Nona, written by Euseba, one of the two sisters accused of having murdered Nona through poisoning and arts unsanctioned. Euseba, awaiting execution, intends to hide this account in her cell. Nona has introduced Euseba to an unsanctioned Thunderskin cult, which meets in the caves below the abbey. There, she and others perform sacred dances for the preservation of the kingdom. Euseba claims that Nona asked her and another sister to prepare a leafy draught, which can be brewed from another beverage with herbs and infusions techniques, and a sufficient quantity of nectar. For a rite, all three of them would perform below the abbey. Something goes awry, Nona is possessed of a tenebrous spirit, and the abbey brethren are forced to quell her with star iron. The other two are implicated as scapegoats, Euseba implies, although she acknowledges her fault also. Well, that's interesting. So that gives us an impulse. And herbs and infusions. So unfortunately, that's got to go back. I'm probably not going to remember... that this gives impulse, but I can work with that later. So I'm not going to try and recover the Westengard Arab. So I'm glad that I didn't use the core right away. So with herbs and infusions... Oh, this will be a piece of cake. There's always more to learn. All right, so the question is there anything I want to do with the Fete and the Tryst? And I think the answer with that is just collect items. So, beachcombing. Take a long walk along the ocean side. If I know what to look for, I might find something that the ocean has forsaken. So I'll use desires and dissolutions for that. What is the sea seeded today? A walk along the moor. Clamber up into the long reaches of the moors behind the village. Lean into the wind's fluttering fist. If I know what to look for, I might find something among the rocks. So I think our best bet there is Pearl and Tide. The wind's almost warm. Now, one thing I can do, which is kind of fun, and this is something that I learned relatively recently. So most of the time when you try to... well, I wouldn't be able to do it with a conservative verb right now, but... so we'll wait a little while on that. Although one thing I could do, given that this has a nectar... I could try and make nectar things. So it's not all bad news. There you go, Yugal Link. Why not? Oh, actually. Inks of Containment. No, we're using that to make Solomon's Preparation. That's right. Brew a dark and persistent ink. Better now. So let's bring back a shot. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal in a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. This is really just so I can make a little more money. Keeper level Winter, Solomon's preparations are a precursor to the Great Ink Nillicant. Okay, the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. So I'll just make an illustration with this rather than focus on it too heavily. But normally when you want to consider an object, you'll see that an affliction is one of the... or a malady is one of the forbidden aspects. Turns out that's not true with all of the items. So for instance, if I wanted to consider my chair here, this one doesn't have the affliction, as it doesn't have the malady as one of the forbidden aspects. Now I suspect the reason for this is that some items will tell you sort of important things about the house. So for instance, I noticed that the Baron Silence's astrolabe does not have the fatigued on it. So in this case, we're like, oh, okay, so, you know, it's a comfort and it's a tool. Well, what about the mirror scope? In this case, it's a thing and a tool. Well, for whatever reason, you know, that, well, maybe actually that's the distinction in terms of comfort. So let's see if I can find something that's a thing rather than a comfort. Maybe maybe I've actually found the difference. It's the Paradise Palm. Well, no, but Walter de Wolf is a thing. Okay. Right, but then I was looking for comforts. Okay, well, I mean, maybe this isn't the time for me to... Maybe this isn't the time for me to be going over all of this. Anyway, one way or the other, it kind of caught me by surprise, but I do have some ideas in terms of how to make this all work for me. But yeah, for now we'll settle with what we've been given. I don't need to listen to everything Reverend Timothy says. He doesn't really even expect me to, but I'm often glad when I do. Yeah, so essentially the reason why I spent the time talking about that was just it's a little more useful for me to be able to create items right now. So, you know, making that ink is kind of nice. We'll see if maybe there's a couple of other things that I can do. But if I am interested, I can actually read a few of the items in the house with that malady without worrying about giving up an element of the soul. So maybe that's something that I'll do in between, just to give us a little bit more of an idea in terms of the house. It's not like I'm not going to keep the afflicted element of the soul hanging around for a long period of time. But you know, just after I take a look at all of the nectary things that I can do with the afflicted Arab, I figure that's not a bad use of the time. I'm trying to think if there's any benefit to talking with Reverend Timothy after this, or if maybe I should just send him off to open the stairs. The assistant and I are vigilant. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing real... Well, that's not entirely true. If he winds up giving me an impulse, I can use that with... we'll see what comes. Well, okay, if I really want to use a memory, I can use the earth sign. But again, there's no rush to get to the stairs, so Reverend Timothy is always happy to chat. Okay. Don't spill it. So that's just a nectar ink. That doesn't give me too much. So where do I want to store my inks? Normally I use Christopher's Nook for the inks, but, well, we actually have a shelf that we can put those on. Maybe I want to find another place for them, though. Where's a good place for me to store inks? Kind of taking up all the shelf space. I will use Christopher's Nook for now, but maybe we want to reassign some of the flowers as we go by. Okay. So I don't think it would hurt for me to actually play around a little bit with the nectar that we have. So we're up to 8, so actually if I just take the Ugol that I just made... Interesting. So notice that even though we've provided 10, it didn't unlock anything. Now, if we do this with the dispensary, this gives me a few more options in terms of items. Flowers should be good for nectar. Looks like it's just 1 though. Well, that's fine because we can still add the ink. There we go. Oh, nope, that's moth. Okay, that's not as exciting. Okay, so that covers liquids and inks. What are some of the other things? Leaves, so cat's claw. Okay, so leaves aren't relevant to rights the roots. We've also got a memory in here, so what else could we possibly add? Well, we could add bees... Nope, we apparently can't add beeswax. So it's flowers and remains, basically. I mean, at this point, most of this is just pure guessing, so I don't want to spend like forever work. Oops. Doesn't like that. Well, I can add the remains just for the heck of it. Well, then, but that... No, we still got 10. Okay, yeah, so remains doesn't cut it. So, the other thing I could do was try to add fuel? That doesn't really make sense, though. Okay, so if I'm going to be crafting something with the nectar, it's going to be... Okay, so we've covered liquid, we've covered remains. We also covered leaves. We didn't cover food though, so we can add the sea blessed pears. And we still need to add ooh. Well, I can still add the bottle for... Aha! There we go. Writes the roots with scholar level nectar plus a beverage creates lethe. Alright. That was fun. I don't think I can do this with Inks of Containment, to be honest. Because Nona's Desk... like, Nona's Desk kind of gives me a little bit, but I can't actually put the Inks of Containment. Could put it with the Pale Desk. I'm limited in terms of what I can pull off there, but... Oh, right, no, I wouldn't be able to add the Western Gyre first of all, so... That kind of kills it before it starts. In fact, that kills most of this before it starts. Because I do actually need to perform any of this stuff at a desk, so because I'm limited in terms of locations, unless I missed something about the dispensary, yeah, there's no way for me to get Inks of Containment working there. I mean, I can try, I'll for the sake of experimentation, let's try the same games with the other Nectar skills, but I'm not expecting miracles here. I don't think there's a higher Nectar plant than the others, so best we can do here is add Ugol. So I'm expecting here... I'm expecting a similar result at the kitchen range. Actually, hang on, I should have checked the aspect numbers, because if I'm gonna... Yeah, I need to find a 2 nectar if this is gonna work. I think the only source of 2 nectar is the earth sign, which I've already applied. Well, let's maybe take a quick look at the lethe, because that surprised me in the past. Oh, there we go. Now that's interesting. So it's not the same recipe as the other one. But we're back to the same problem now. So why did that work for the other... Oh, because I had the dandelion wine, probably. Yeah. So unless I think I've got some crazy source of abundant nectar, I think... Well, there we go. Okay, so it's not leaves, it's not liquids, it's not memories or omens. What on earth could it be then? Well, beverage, technically. So how would I make that work? I think the answer to that is I don't make that work. No, wait, because if it was a beverage, then the wine would have covered it. So I guess that would have to be a food item then? Well, it doesn't have to be anything, but I'll try one more. I know this isn't always the most exciting thing to watch somebody go through, but I do have a little bit of a rare opportunity to sort of play around and see how these things work. So we're at 7, so I don't think I can add the soaks in this case. Yeah. Okay, smart guy. How is this gonna work? Ooh. You know what? I don't think it's worth it. Like, what do I really learn? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll figure this all out. Actually, sorry, I don't know if I tried the U-galling, so maybe that'll be the last one that I try, but a level 2 skill is not exactly the sort of thing that I'm expecting to, to work miracles with, so no, hang on. It's the U-gall I wanted. Right, but then I need the 2 that would come from a flower that I don't have. that's why I was struggling with it. Okay. So let's just see what I can make with orchids and narcotics. I think it's pretty clear I'm limited, and it doesn't give me. Actually, leaves and thorns gives me even more than. Oop. Okay, Thyrsus cordials is actually quite helpful. I don't even know if I have any of those kicking around right now. We've got Gideon soaks. Oh, there we go. But yeah, how do I think I'm going to get 5 together if one of them has to be a flower? I don't think that's worth considering. So we can do the same trick with herbs and infusions. Earth sign. So there's Thyrsus cordials. And again, I don't think we try to get the 5 there. So unless I think there's something else I need to investigate. Oh, spices and savors I didn't check, so we might as well add that to the list. Lots of Thyrsus cordials. Now that, we only need, well, 2 and 2, again, unless I, well, hang on, because that's one I can actually add Gideon's soaks. So then we just add the flour, and turns out that needs something else for the 10. So, could be a beverage. But unfortunately, because I don't have a beverage that grants 3, we won't know. Okay. Again, that was educational. That's about the only reason why I think that was worth it. But I will give an example while we're kicking around. Let's take a look at what's going on when we consider items in the game. So that's a thing. Ah, okay, so this is an example of a thing that I can observe without. Okay, yeah, so the thing rule doesn't apply. Anything that this shaft gives me that no, I don't think I want to mess around with it, so we'll just do the fix and mending. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can offer 6 pence worth of odd jobs. Okay, so let's, I did this on the YouTube, the Twitch playthrough as well. I'm just going to start looking at items beginning with the Keeper's Lodge. For 500 years, in the times we call baronial curia nocturnal, there was always a keeper to watch the ways, weed the gardens, mend the roof when the sun was shining. There is no keeper now, but the lodge's roof still weathers the storms of Brandkrug Bay. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to take a look at some of the items inside the Keeper's Lodge, and this is taking advantage of the afflicted element of the soul. So investigate the object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. This is the sort of thing I'd like to do when I have more elements of the soul, but I don't I don't see the ability to investigate rooms to be the sort of thing to prematurely commit skills. I'll do that maybe once I'm closer to knowing that yes, here's a thing I definitely want to do that will be enabled by opening up these skills. So we've got a Hawthorn Blank, a wood favored by the Horned Axe. So she also have something from Crowcross Sands. All right, Contraband Flotsam, Salt Stained and Wave Racked. Now, this is not something that I can open with an Afflicted Element of the Soul, so we'll have to wait on that one. We will find a home for the Hawthorn Black. I don't think we can fit that on here. I'd rather fit it on there, though. So let's move the Curious Seashell off to the side here. Okay. Shaving mirror, snip snip. Faint rust specks dot the mirror, or just possibly blood. So that gives us a sight memory. The eye sees more than the heart knows. Blake. So like I said, we're not gonna go top to bottom in Hush House, but basically the things that I can sort of investigate for free will do that. And we will wrap up for the day, so I'm going to try not to make this episode too much longer, but I do kind of want to see the day through to the end, so I don't need to listen to everything Reverend Timothy says. He doesn't really even expect me to, but I'm often glad when I do. So now I'm more comfortable using Reverend Timothy to open up the part of the house, just because there's not a whole lot else for us to do today. I don't have any, elements of the soul that need to be used, so we will now open up the blockaded stairs. Someone has filled these stairs with blocks of timber and broken furniture. They've filled the timber and furniture with signs to bring shadow and despair. Do they want to prevent an intruder from passing or a resident from leaving? Either way, it'll be difficult and careful work to open the stairs. Uh-oh. Yikes! So something went wrong in my calculations. I'm glad we noticed that. So we have used element of the soul, we've used a beverage, we've used a memory, and we've used a tool. So used. Okay, let me think about where I got this wrong. Starts with 2 from the collaboration, so that's 4. This is where I got it wrong. I should have given him the coffee instead of the dandelion wine. So my options here are a food that gives lantern, and that's actually fairly rare. I'm not quite sure I want to give that up. So my next alternative is a candle. Candle is something that I can afford to give up. Although, turns out that not all candles give lantern. So I don't think I can give him the tool. Yeah. Well, that makes things interesting. Bedside candle holder. Okay, so I can give it the nightlight or the... You know what? The nightlight probably scaring the chimeric larva. Alright, yeah. So we'll... Oh! Oh, it has to be a proper candle. So they generally burn brighter, but we generally burn longer. Okay. Light for the dark places. I can offer my assistant a candle. This will increase their aspects. They will keep any candle stumps that might be left over. So this will be a chance for me to practice chandlery with transformations and liberations. It's a skill that can be used with suitable ingredients to make candles. The most likely ingredients are beeswax and herbs, but to confound villagers and visitors, leaving meaningful pause before the word suitable. So I do apologize for the extended length of this one, but obviously I made a boo-boo. Alright, straw cushion chair, upholstered without any particular skill. A little scratchy, but an optimistic sort would point out that it makes it easier to stay awake when one's eyelids waver. So again, we'll still investigate the house a bit with our affliction. I think we're on to the fractured mirror, cracked and fly specked. Every candle has its shadow. This has improved their aspects appropriately. There we go. So, I mean, if we weren't able to use Reverend Timothy on that, you know, that wouldn't be the end of the world. All I would really be losing there would be, you know, it would be, a glass of dandelion wine and a shilling. Neither of which are the sort of thing that would, you know, end the playthrough, let's say. But still, you know, where you can, you wanna make the most of the day. So, your face in the glass looks scarred, older, harsher. A certain door in dreams, it is said, opens only for a mirror which has just been cracked, but this mirror was cracked long ago. So that's it for the Keeper's Lodge. We're now on to the Watchman's Tower, the Gatehouse. Back in the 11th century, Brian of Brittany built the tower and its gate to protect St. Brendan's Abbey, as Hush House was then known. Later, the Barons de Wolf strengthened the gate against their many enemies, but it's a long time now since Hush House was any kind of fortress, and by the time the scholars of the Curia took possession, this place had long been a comfortable waiting room for visitors to the house, too minor to merit immediate attention. So let's start by checking out the expansive chair. Alright, time to preserve the name day riddle. So there's going to be a few things that we want to do tomorrow. So one of them is going to be to open the contraband flotsam. I'm going to want to draw up another pitcher of water so that I can actually, here's what we do. Put that in my inventory. A printed card, upholstered in a velvet of peculiar richness that invites the hand. Sit down a while, you've earned it. A printed card reads, now safe to sleep in this chair, GC. So, the Treasury of Shelters, it's like an armory for not getting pneumonia. But yeah, so I'm going to draw up some more water. I will recover my Arab. The back stairs, the secret artery of the house. All those abbots and barons and all their crowds of retainers needed their chamber pots emptying and their boots cleaning. These are the stairs that the boots and the chamber pots went up and down. They were notoriously cramped and treacherous. It was a rare year some poor scullion didn't crack an ankle. It was the Suppression Bureau, at very long last, who remodeled the stairs and put in electric lights. And people say the Suppression Bureau never did Hush House any good. So again, nothing too special inside here. There's the Lepidoptery display, heart-centric, a collection of Lepidopterans, insects with unusual characteristics. There is also the Grail-centric one, a collection of Lepidopteran insects with unusual characteristics. But not too much in here for me to, to spend a lot of time on. But yeah, so open the package, heal my lost Arab. Depending on what the weather is, we might attempt something with the rights of the roots. I figure we can bring in Mr. Kill to open up one of the wintry rooms. And then perhaps we make an effort to read some of these more difficult books. So a thick deposit has accrued to the bottom of the stand. 100 years of rain applied to 100 winters of mud. So one more piece of... I usually start with the things on the ground and then move up to things on the walls. So we've got the lingering repose, which we may read on Monday's episode once we get through the evening. I have been extending this just by reading all of the text, but I'm not quite sure what the alternative is. Investigate an object. You won't use this up by consuming it or by doing this. Now, there is the chance that Numa hits because we haven't seen the season yet, so I'm just trying to think, does it make sense? Well, okay. Let me work out what I would want to do. So probably, if I'm going to bring in Mr. Kill, we've got Solomon's Preparation, which is the 4. So Mr. Kill has got 2 winters, so 2 from the Whist, 2 from the Memory. There is no winter tool for us to use, so 4 from Prep. Okay, so that's 2, 6, 10. So that means that Mr. Kill can get us into the Stopped Clock, the Veiled Chamber, the Shrouded Space. That's it. But yeah, very clearly we want to bring in Mr. Kill in this case. So speak with Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. If you don't choose a topic, Mr. Kill will offer help as a friend. Moving on, we will bring the core to the Hush House well. And then I guess I said I was going to use my heart to try and... or my health, rather, to improve. So let's go... We'll start with herbs and infusions and work our way up. Oh, I'm unlikely to garner much from the hive at this time of year. Maybe I should be looking for scale skills at this point. I'm not expecting lots, but let's give it a shot. And then the other thing that I want to do... Well, I've got 19 seconds, so I guess I'm going to have to wait. Wait on that. But yes, we are going to see what the weather is. Okay, a rainy day. Actually, bingo. That gets us our rights of the roots. So we will... read a book for the impulse. I guess we can use Faust for that. I promise the episode is coming to an end. Just if I don't cue this up, I'm not going to remember to later. Okay, so we have the 4 that we need to be able to level up Rights of the Roots. We'll actually move... whatever, it's close enough. All right, yes, we've got... almost got what we need. The last thing that I need to do here is also get the forge that I wanted. So we did Bancroft's Diary last time. 6 Letters of Necessity. Okay. So this gets me my Arab back. The Impulse gets me Rights of the Roots. After we study this, we'll probably use the Arab Plus to open up the Contraband Flotsam, and then the rest of the day is, you know, whatever I really want to do. But again, the goal of these choices are to make, or the goal of these kinds of endings are to make sure that I've sort of idiot-proofed the Monday episode. So. This is almost twice as long as what a normal episode should be, so I do apologize for that, especially because a lot of it was sort of spent on some more I don't think it's bad to hear to learn a little bit more about Hush House and see all the different objects, but these are not the sorts of things that you want to extend an episode for. It just happened to be an opportunity that I had, and I know that I'm going to be using my Elements of the Soul for a while. So in terms of longer term goals, I think for the next few days, we'll probably, extend our reach a little bit and see if we can do a bit more with some of these texts here. I'll probably mess around with some recipes a bit more, because I certainly learned a little bit about what I'm capable of. But again, all of that stuff that we can do later on in the sessions. And I do still want to go to Crowcross and the Moor a little bit more, just to see if there's anything fancy that I can pick up. But all of that will be handled after the weekend. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.